If you live your life to be picky about everything that happens in the relationship, that's all you'll do. If your life is about picking out faults and failures and troubling spots and troubling areas, that's all you will ever do. You will never experience the joy and the ecstasy of having a good relationship. So you learn how to appreciate what you have. There will. Point one tells us that we'll never understand every aspect of it. But the next piece that we got to make sure we understand with regard to relationship is that we can just enjoy what we got. When was the last time you just celebrated and enjoyed the part of the relationship you have? And for many of us, we get so bogged down with our complaints that we can't be engaged in celebration. Complaints overwhelm our celebration. You think about this. If you have a child and all you do is complain about what your child never does, that child's self-esteem is going to be low because you never take the time to celebrate. Same thing with your friends. If you never take the time to celebrate your friends, you never take the time to celebrate your relationship, that relationship is going to be tattered at best and ruined at worst. We have to take the time to enjoy, to celebrate, and fully appreciate what we can about the relationship. We know it's not going to be perfect, but what have we picked out of the relationship that will allow us to say, you know what, I'm thankful for this. I'm happy about this. This is a little note that I want you to take. Tonight, before you fall off to sleep, I want to ask you to be present enough with those relationships that are vibrant and important in your life and ask yourself, what do I appreciate about these relationships? What am I excited about, happy about? What do I get joy about in these relationships? And don't just think about it. Write some things down. Make some notes. Develop some mental pictures so that when you guys re-engage, you can be happy about those things that you have been thinking about. Here's the third one. You will deal with double standards as you model health in your relationship. You will deal with double standards as you model health in your relationship. Anybody here ever gave your best to somebody and they could not give the best back to you? Right? Isn't that the worst thing? Isn't that the worst feeling? I give my best to you, but you cannot give your best back to me. And then you ask me to do stuff that you are unwilling or incapable of doing. That's a double standard. And let me tell you what ruins the relationship. What ruins the relationship, if you're not careful, when you're being healthy, you will dispatch or displace your health to go and be like the person who is disregarding you. You never come down. Healthy relationships. People who are healthy in their relationships never come down to where somebody else is that's a perpetrator or aggressor, or someone who puts the double standard in the relationship. Never come down. That's a note that you need to take. Never come down. If you have to get out, but never come down. If you have to say this relationship is over, say it's over, but never come down. Don't ever trade who you are to prove to somebody you're worse than they are. You do not trade who you are. Don't trade who you are. Don't stop being the woman you are. Don't stop being the person that you are. Don't stop being the thinker that you are. Don't stop being the focused person that you are to come down and be with somebody else. You have to stay healthy. Are you listening to me? And listen, if you don't believe me, you just think there's some people whose marriages are in tatters and they have not learned how to control their tongue because they got to prove to their spouse, I can be worse than you now. Oh, you ain't seen nasty. I could be nasty now. I've been being nice, but I could be nasty. The devil, we are not going that way. No, you are too healthy for that to happen in your life. You are too healthy. Say it, I'm too healthy to be nasty. Say, I'm too healthy to have a bad attitude. I'm too healthy to think evil, act in an evil way, behave in an evil manner, plot evil things. I'm too healthy for that. This is why you don't do it. It's not that you're passive. You're not passive. You've just decided that I choose health over revenge. I choose health over being equal. All right, here's the last one. You should strive to be a better standard than a friend. Say that. You should strive to be a better standard. This whole series is about being a standard, right? The whole series is about being a standard. And because the whole series is about being a standard, our focus then needs to be on being a standard less than being a friend. We've got a whole lot of friendly friends, but they aren't standards. Whole lot of people that are friendly, we're connected, we're joined, but there's no health in the relationship. And there's no health in the relationship because there's no health in the person. You can't have a healthy relationship if you are unhealthy. You understand that? You're unhealthy, you can't have a healthy relationship. Right? 20 years ago when I came to this church, we stopped saying, and two halves are going to make a whole when people got married. We stopped saying that because if you're not whole and the other person isn't whole, y'all going to be two halves. Right? You had two halves up there saying, we supposed to be whole, why we ain't whole? Because both of y'all were half. It takes a whole and a whole to make a whole. Right? Healthy people practice being the standard. Now, there's another question I want you to write down here. What do you need to work on to be the standard? What do you need to work on right now today to be the standard in your family? What do you need to work on right now to be the standard in your relationship? What do you need to work on right now to be the standard in your connection? What do you need to work on right now to be the standard with regards to where you are at work? You need to be the standard. And the more you are the standard, the more you'll value having a high bar. And the higher the bar, the easier it is for you to fit in relationships. You think about this. If anybody tells you, I just have a hard time making friends, it's because they're unhealthy. They've not been a standard, right? And when you find people that say, you know what, this person, they was a trip. I just couldn't get along with them. Seemed like their expectations was too high. That's a good person. That's a healthy friend. Right? A healthy friend has high expectations. A healthy friend models high expectations. A healthy friend sets a high bar. We should not be trolling the bottom of the ocean to find friends. We ain't getting no more catfish friends that stay in mud all day. And they got mud. And then they have mud in your life. And you wonder, where in the heck did I get all this mud from? Look at your friends. Some years ago, I told you a story about an article I read about a man who, in East Texas, Elder Harper, that used to catch catfish, and his customers complained that the catfish tastes muddy. So what he would do is he would go out and he'd catch catfish, and he'd put them in this pool that he had with clean water, and all he would feed them is corn over the course of about 90 days. He could not keep that catfish because he fed all the mud out of the catfish. Right? Sometimes we got to be taken away so that we can get ourselves together before we can go back and be something to somebody else. Are you listening to me? And I need us to make this a practice, because until we make this a practice, what happens is we end up being the kind of people who every time we turn around, we are in breakup mode with our friends because we've never been healthy. I knew you were going to say amen to this message. I knew it. But you look awfully guilty when you don't say nothing. Right, so say amen or wink your eye or cough or hack or clear your throat. I don't care. But you look awfully guilty when you just be like, I'm not paying him no attention. It was not me, it was them. Right? Be the standard. Now let's look at the next piece of this one. Once you are a better standard, you automatically become a better friend. Say it. Once you are the standard, you automatically become, say it again. Once you are a better standard, you automatically become. And so if you want better friends, challenge them to be a better standard. What's the standard in your life? Now let's do this really quickly. We don't have to turn to any places, but Lois, let's just pretend tonight that we were to go from, let's just go from the book of Romans all the way to the book of Jude, and we were to pick out the kind of characteristics that Christians ought to embody. If we would pick out just the characteristics, the Pauline characteristics, the Petrine characteristics, the Johannine characteristics, if we were to pick out these characteristics, you know what we will find? We will find that there are a lot of Christians who have a lot of stuff that resembles Christ-likeness that is not Christ-likeness. And so every day we have to be conformed to the image of Christ. If you're going to be a better standard, you're going to be a standard by what measure? What measure are you being a better standard? This, the Bible. So you have to read this in order to be a better standard. And you can't complain about friends not being them, especially if they don't read this. God requires you to be a higher standard, set a higher bar, and the only way you can do that is by this. Thine word, O Lord, is a lamp. Is a light. have I hidden this word. So when you internalize God's truth, it shows up in your practices. Say amen. When you put on the breastplate of righteousness, it shows up in your practice. When you take the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, it shows up in your practices. When you have your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, it shows up in your practices. When you make sure you take on the helmet of salvation, what does it do? It show up in your practice. When your loins are girded about with truth, it shows up in your practices. It shows up in what you do every day. You don't have to tell anybody you're equipped. They'll see that you're equipped. And let's not stop there. When we look at everything God tells us to avoid, right? The works of the flesh. And then he tells us to epitomize the fruit of the Spirit and love and joy and peace and gentleness and tenderness and meekness and temperance and self-control and faith. All these things, against such there is no law. When you embody them and epitomize them, nobody has to tell you you're a healthy standard. You become a healthy standard. These are things that should be normative for Christians. Things that are lovely, things that are true, things that are pure, things that are of good report. When was the last time you thought on these things? Right? When was the last time? When was the last time you kept your focus so on God that he kept you in perfect peace? I don't have to worry that you are not calling me back because I'm at peace. Woo, Lord have mercy. I don't have to, you didn't call me back. You didn't text me back. I am not going to send you frowny faces because you didn't. I'm so at peace. Maybe you were busy. But just look down your row and say, neighbor, this is helping me tonight. Here's part of our problem that we got to work out. Part of the problem that we got to work out is that we have gotten so comfortable being uncomfortable that we never get to a place where we arise in our faith. Your goal is not to be your friend's everything. Your goal is to be your friend's friend. And the only way you can be that friend is by being a standard. Are you listening to me? Oh, Bishop, I don't know if that's true. Well, in Romans 1, Paul says that we have changed the glory of God for the corruptible. We have put people in God's place, and so we've taken our emphasis off of creator and put it on creation. And listen to me carefully. Idolatry is idolatry no matter how you slice it. Right? If your friend gets more of your time, more of your energy, more of your effort, more of your attention than your God, then you'll never be able to be a healthy person in that relationship. Everything is about balance. It starts because it emanates from God. What have you not allowed to show up in your life because you have put other people in a more important role than you've put God? This is going to help you, I promise. This is going to help you. God never gave you friends to take his place. God gave you friends to remind you of who he is to you. God gave you people in your life to remind you that he is the source of your strength and that he will stick with you and that you could bring to him. He brought people in your life as a reminder and a reflection of who he is. That's a huge piece for you. I don't want you to miss that. God is your everything, not people.